We start with Thursday night, 5:20 p.m. here on the West Coast. Ravens, Chiefs, good matchup. As good as last year. They've been doing a good job with the opening game. We'll be out in Vegas at an undisclosed location watching this one.
Probably
Sean.
Circa.
Probably
again,
Circa.
If you're out in Vegas,
sounds cooler.
hit us up.
KC laying 3. I know this one's danced around a little bit. Always seems like 3 was the right number. In fact, it was 3 back on May 22nd, Sean, when we did our way too early podcast. Kansas City laying 3 now, minus 152 on the money line. Baltimore plus 128. 46.5 is the total. All right. So other than this being the traditional, let's talk about Thursday Night Football. Let's talk about the Chiefs and Andy Reid coming off long rest. Let's talk about how this offseason, all I've done is spit on it. Hawk Tua.
The Ravens.
No, the Chiefs, because it seems like they're not going to start slow this year.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, as someone who has happily defended Lamar Jackson in the regular season before, how the fuck I can do anything but take the Chiefs here.
Yeah, no, I mean, so let's start with Andy Reid. Andy Reid in opening day games with the Chiefs, 9-1 straight up. If you don't include games where Kadarius Toney played, if you include Kadarius Toney, Ryan, they're 9-2. And this is great because that loss to Detroit last year, I think, threw people off the scent of how good teams are traditionally. ATS coming off a Super Bowl win, and then 2. I mean, Kelsey didn't play. Tony was obviously horrific. You get Andy Reid with extra time to prepare. The matchup that I really dug into, one, Lamar Jackson is very good in the first half. He's one of the best first half ATS guys, 51-30-2 in the first half against the spread. So if you want to get cute, you could take, I think, and you could probably get a pretty good price. Ravens to win the first half, Chiefs to win the game. This definitely feels like that is in possibility. I'm not going to get cute. I'm just going to be in on the Chiefs, in on our boy Carson Steele to get a touchdown. But
I think it's like people are short selling how much has changed on the defensive side of the ball. In Baltimore.
No Mike McDonald, and not only Mike McDonald, but
the second
lost,
choice left.
Yeah, they lost a bunch of the staff. Patrick Mahomes 4-1 in his career versus Lamar Jackson, including the playoffs. Mahomes kind of owns him, and it's less Mahomes, but Steve Spagnuolo, Ryan, versus Lamar Jackson. He recorded his 3rd lowest passer rating, 4th lowest success rate, and tied for 2nd lowest EPA in that playoff loss. Like, I think they have a good angle on how to figure out this Ravens team. If you're countering with the Ravens, you're saying, well, Lamar Jackson against the spread as a dog, that's usually pretty good.
Well, he's great as a dog.
He's good. He's very good as a dog. Harbaugh in opening games is usually pretty good as well. Although maybe that was tied towards how well they did in the preseason, and maybe that's cooled off a little bit. To me, this is less about fading the Ravens, because I do think they'll be okay, solid to goodish in the regular season. This to me is just about riding the Chiefs at home, a motivated Chiefs team. If you listen to the Chiefs beat reporter, I tuned into a podcast and he was like, I think what's going to surprise people is how pissed off this Chiefs team is, in particular the offense. Like, the offense was not good last year. They came up with some clutch drives at times, but I mean, by their standards, they were really bad, and it was a down year for Mahomes and the offense in general. You know, they kind of babied Rashee Rice into the process. Rashee Rice not suspended. He's going to hit the ground running. Like, I mean, you remember how good he looked in some of those playoff games, second half of the season. He to me, I think, could emerge as a true number 1 receiver. And then the real reason, which I was kind of on the fence about Ravens over under win total for the season. What sold me on kind of going just under, not completely fading that, but the offensive line. I think there's going to be a ton of offensive line issues. They lost 3 starting offensive linemen, the Ravens, and a guy like Chris Jones going up against Daniel Faeli. Daniel Faeli has only played 350 snaps. He's the right guard for the Chiefs. That interior pressure, I think, is going to be tough for Lamar Jackson to deal with. Now the Ravens are going to come in. I think you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel. I think they're going to not do the game plan that they did in the playoffs, which looked horrible for them. But all that being said, I think this is a good spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm on the Chiefs. Lay the points. Give me a Carson Steele anytime touchdown. I do think if you listen to the props episode, Isaiah Likely I think is an interesting play for some alt receiving yards. Maybe he gets into the end zone. But yeah, I love the Chiefs here actually.
Well, I mean, in some ways, you have to wonder why this point spread's only 3.
Yeah.
It does seem like a team that still has a home edge isn't really getting credit. And back to the volatility or the volatility in the offseason, whether it's the offensive line or the fact that 3 of their defensive coaches, like we started talking about, are now defensive coordinators or head coaches elsewhere, including the defensive backs coach, including the defensive line coach. This is a team that led the league in sacks. They were a very good unit. I certainly think the revenge angle is the only angle I think you could legitimately play as to why this team's going to come out and do it. Because I don't. Derrick Henry coming to this team, that's not the answer to me.
Yeah, and Derrick Henry. If you're optimistic about Derrick Henry, he has been good historically against the Chiefs defense, but I think this is kind of a different Chiefs defense. Like I can't recall the Chiefs D line being this good. You get Karlaftis, who seems to be hitting his stride. Like I think they're going to be able to rush the passer, and I don't think they're losing Snead. I think could hurt them against some teams, but I don't think it's going to hurt them as much against this Ravens team.
Yeah, Lamar is yet to be. It is the regular season.
Yeah,
and we have as people point out, the Chiefs did lose last year on Thursday, but Kadarius Toney was on that team.
Yeah.
It's a different situation.
And they almost won that game and almost covered. I mean, I think if Kelsey plays, if Tony doesn't have some of those boneheaded plays, I think Chiefs are certainly in the mix there, even in that Detroit game. So, and shout out to Carson Steele. I do think he will get a carry or 2 inside the 5. So anytime touchdown for Carson Steele. Shout out to definitely shop around on all the touchdown stuff. We're really seeing it this season of the price discrepancies. So FanDuel, I think, has the best Carson Steele price I've seen at 10-1, but definitely poke around because there's some places that are really short and some places pretty long. I don't like that they signed Pirine, but I'm banking on the fact that he's not going to be ready.
Yeah, he won't be ready.
And Carson Steele is the fullback. They don't do QB sneaks with Mahomes.
Worth noting with Pirine, Sean Payton loves Samaje Pirine, so if he's letting him go,
and Carson Steele was returning kicks. I mean, just imagine, Ryan.
Guy.
Imagine
football guy.
We're hanging out in the Circa Thursday night football kicking off, and those beautiful blonde locks are just taking a kickoff with the new kickoff rules, just taking it to the house. That electric environment. God help
Crocky J is going to have a great time.
Oh, Sean, he's going to get a nice piece of lamb or something.
Let's also make sure we get down on the Isaiah Likely, Carson Steele touchdown
parlay. Yeah, I'm seeing. I know you can play it on Underdog. I saw some places have it as high as like 60-1. So let's get it, Kramer.
All right.
I mean, it's been a while since I heard a gambling
know when to
about Ron.